Hi, it's Odeean here. Today I've got a very quick little video, and this is just Neca's 7-inch Crimson Typhoon. I think I mentioned in one of my other videos I'm not collecting all the Jaegers, kind of just picking what I like, and that's because after getting a couple that I just didn't like the look of, I thought they were a bit of a waste of money. However, Crimson Typhoon actually turned out to be pretty good, and he is one of the ones that I do like. With the caveat being that these are Neca figures, these are not chogokins, these are not Bandai toys, they're definitely Neca. When you zoom in really close like this, you can see that the sculpt does become a bit gummy and the paint does have defects. So by no means is this a high-end toy, but for $20 I think it's pretty solid and pretty fun to have. And definitely here in Australia you can't buy these, so I kind of envy people in the US who can just walk into a Toys R Us and pick one of these up for 20 bucks, because definitely here you can't, and probably the only way you'd get it is a comic shop or something, and it would be way more than that. For scale, here he is next to Cherno Alpha, mainly the other Jaeger that I like. Cherno's pretty awesome looking, and they're pretty much on par, if you can ignore the fact that Cherno Alpha's got the huge reactor on top of his head. Shoulder to shoulder, very similar in height. For scale, next to a kaiju, here's the second version, the battle damage version of the knife head, and he's similar in height, but the knife head is way more bulky. In the hand it feels at least double the weight, so definitely knife head is very thick, and it would be hard for one of these Jaegers to combat something like this, but they do look really fantastic together, and that's one of the reasons I picked him up. I did need something to go on the shelf up against these kaiju, and Cherno Alpha is good, but he was kind of standing there alone, so Crimson Typhoon kind of double teams him in fighting off all the kaiju that I've got. For posability, there's this ball joint on the head and neck. We've got a swivel, which is really a universal joint here on the shoulder, but it doesn't go out that far. It's got about 45 degrees. You get a little bit of this pivoting here, but not really a bicep cut. We've got about 90 degrees at the bicep. Both arms very similar. In fact, just looking at them, I'm thinking that both arms may be the same exact sculpt. Yeah, it does seem that way. Going over to the other side, it's got a big shield area with some tampo printing on the front there, but surprisingly posable, maybe even a little bit more posable than the other two arms. 90 degrees again here. Now we've got rotation, but no cut at the bicep, but mainly the rotation from up here at the shoulder. The hand can move around because it's on a ball. Very big, thick hand there. A little bit of ab crunch. I think these might be balls even at the hips, not universals, just balls. And chicken legged. Now I don't like chicken legs much, but this is kind of one instance where I do think that it kind of looks good, but most of the time I'm really against that leg configuration. I just think that on Crimson Typhoon they've pulled it off quite nicely, the way that all the armor panels interact with each other. The joints in the legs have been getting a little bit loose. When I first bought this, he could kind of stand up like that, but now you'll see that it always sits back down into its lowest position, so friction rapidly kind of degraded on the figure. You don't notice it because it kind of looks good, but yeah, and if it didn't have a sculpt that held its own weight, it'd fall the whole way over. Not much else to say, so I'm just going to show all the details up close. It has a very nice sculpt and relatively good paint. I like the details on this guy. They look somehow less messy than on some of the other Jaegers that I've got. Maybe it's because of the rounded paneling, I don't know. One thing I do notice though is that this red, I can't really even call it red, it's very brown. Now this is the second release. I've seen a lot of photos of the first release and it looks more crimson. Like this doesn't look crimson at all. It looks like a dirty brown color, and to the naked eye it looks even more brown than what it's showing up here on camera. So I'm not really sure if that's unique to my toy, or if all of these second releases are brown, or if in fact all Crimson Typhoons are brown and it's just the photos are showing it up more red in some circumstances. So if you know the answer to that, definitely put it in the comments below, because like if you've got one of each in hand, I would like to know an answer to that, whether I should look for a new Crimson Typhoon, more red one than this one that I've actually got. So anyway, that's the end of the review. Thank you for watching. This has been Neca's 7-inch Crimson Typhoon. I'm Odeean. See you next time.